really, really good runner. He's made plenty of tutorials and things of that nature, and it's just overall great asset to the community. He recently made a theory task that was filled with rooms he actually executed in real time, and then he spliced them all together, and it was a really fun watch, and he found a lot of neat stuff and strategies and time saves through that he shared with the community. And then you have Crossproduct, who is a little bit more well-known in the rando community. I know he's made a tracker that's pretty well-known. So the escape sequence is boring, so I'm just going to keep talking about the runners right now, because they're just going to, you know, run through the castle to get Zelda and then leave. So I mean, that's all that really happens. That's all you need to know. So go through their bios a little bit here. Alright, we have BluntBunny. He's been in speedrunning for 3.5 years. He started with A Link to the Past, but he's been playing that on and off, as he does go to other games every now and then. Games like DKC, pretty much all the Donkey Kong Country games. You got Zelda 2, you got Glover, and the other categories he likes to run are no major glitch categories that are not any percent, so 100%, Master Sword, things like that, and he also has run all dungeons. Little fun fact about Blunt that he wants the entire community to know is that he rolls deep and he is an off gamer. Now we got Crossproduct. Let's see, he's been in the speedrunning game for about 4 years. He's been running A Link to the Past for 1. So a little bit newer to this scene, but you know, I've heard that speedrunning in general, other games carries over to, you know, from game to game, as you just learn how to learn things quickly and you know, things like that. So what other categories does he run? He has low percent under his belt, low percent one-hit KO, which is kind of a meme thing that people, it's more of a challenge than anything, and it's actually really impressive just to complete it. And he also is big into randomizers. So what other games does he speedrun? Super Metroid for 1, DuckTales, and he's definitely proud of the trackers that people have used and the overlays and alerts that he's created on his own. And fun fact that he wants everyone to know about is that Waterfall Fairy is waifu. So how far are we into the escape segment? Okay, we're almost halfway there. Let's see. So the thing about escape is there's only a few rooms that you're actually really paying close attention to when you run it. The room Blunt is in right now is probably the one that you're most focused on during this segment, and you know, that's why right there you can easily take a hit. The room can go wrong for, you know, the slightest little mistiming, and Crossproduct's going to use a slightly different strategy than BluntBunny. It's a little less optimal, but a little bit safer, and he cleans that up nicely. So BluntBunny is gathering Princess Zelda. Crossproduct as well. Is just getting through the text box now, and he will be heading on his way to the throne room and then through the sewers. So the other rooms that you're really paying attention to are the 2 key guards that you need to kill for keys, and that's pretty much it. I mean, you get focused on Key Rat later, and I'll talk about that when we get to it. But yeah, what else can I say during escape? Okay, I'm gonna explain pumping, and I know that everyone's gonna hate me for this, but you know what? Oh, say goodbye to the downtown kids on Crossproduct screen. They like to take it down. Anyway, pumping is a movement technique that is most prevalent in the first couple segments because we do not have the boots yet. So the way it works is pixel movement in this game when you're moving left or up is 2 pixels, 1 pixel, 2 pixels, 1 pixel, 2 pixels, 1 pixel. And if you're pumping, it will actually reset the movement to the beginning of the sequence. So if you replace one of the 1 pixel frames with going back to the beginning, making it 2, then you can kind of boost Link and he'll go faster and faster and faster. The more successful you are with it. The way you cause those little skips is by mashing in perpendicular directions to the direction you're going, and it only works going left or up because right or down will cause the opposite effect, and it will end up slowing you down. So, okay, Blunt is going through the snake's room. He gets really, really good snake RNG there. That's another room that you'll pay attention to, just because you need to react to the RNG. But again, escape is so stupid. So, gets the key there, and we see cross product is about to go into the snake's room. Let's see how he does. Decent RNG, has to slash one of those guys out of the way. So doing all right there. And BluntBunny is coming up on the northwest key rat room that I was talking about. If this key rat goes to the most top left part of the room, you lose a ton of time, but Blunt got the best RNG there, where he actually goes down and then just comes straight at you at the bottom of the room. So that's some good luck there, and the disparity in timing between those is a few seconds, so it's kind of significant, especially at a high level of the game. Alright, BluntBunny's just got to pull on this switch here, and he's going to make it out of escape. We'll see if he decides to get Sanctuary Heart. He does play the game at a very, very high level, so I wouldn't be surprised if he skipped it. That is one thing that I actually skipped over. I know that... let me look him up real quick. So I know BluntBunny has a very, very good time in this game that he set some time ago, but he still continues to play at a high level. His PB is a 124.52, 8th on the leaderboards of speedrun.com. Very, very solid runner. And cross product on the leaderboards has a time of 1:43.25. So there is some disparity here, but I know that cross product does play this game a lot, and we'll see if he can pull a PB through this race right here today. That'd be nice. So, all right, now we're on to Eastern, and Eastern a little bit more entertaining than Escape is, because there's actually puzzles and stuff to do and little tricks here. It's not just walking from room to room like Escape, but a lot of the same movement tech comes into play, mainly because you still haven't gotten the boots yet. But again, I'll explain the little tricks and techniques as we get to them. Here, though, you're just dodging, bobbing and weaving through Octoroks. Can be very, very frustrating because they're very quick and they can change direction very quickly. And they also shoot out very quick projectiles, so just all your effort at this part of the segment is just focusing on the Octoroks and trying to avoid them. Alright, so BluntBunny is going to be coming up on a little trick in a skeleton room. So the way this one works is when he gets to the room, there's a spawn box in the room that when Link enters it, the skeletons will spawn directly north, south, east, and west of him. But we actually manipulate the spawn so that 2 of them despawn immediately because there's something in the way of their spawn, and then you just throw a pot right and throw a pot down like he just did, and you kill the 2 remaining skeletons that you can't block the spawns of. That's how you do that room quickly. And thanks BluntBunny for executing it well. Alright, so cross product is making his way over to that room shortly, but BluntBunny is just plowing through this dungeon right now. There's an optional arrow pickup under one of those pots that he just walked by that a lot of people get because it kind of negates the luck factor. Let's see if cross product gets this room. Ooh, unfortunately he stepped into the spawn box slightly too far to the right, so he got that 3rd skeleton to spawn that he had to go chase after, but close one there. But anyway, yeah, that arrow drop that BluntBunny skipped is a common one that people get to negate some RNG from hoping for drops. Now, BluntBunny is going to go for a puzzle skip here. Normally, you have to kill all of the enemies in this room, but you just damage boost off that popo, and then use the iframes to put yourself on top of the button after picking up the pot. Very, very quick timing needs to happen for that to work, but, like I said, BluntBunny's made tutorials. He's practiced this game like crazy. And that's something that's pretty standard and trivial for him at this point. The timing in that room is pretty tight, though, I have to say. It's very, even if you practice it for hours, it is very easy to slip up in that room, even just ever so slightly. BluntBunny low on rupee drops so far throughout the run. I haven't been keeping track of what enemies he's been killing, but he only has 2 rupees at this point, and coming out of Eastern, you're hoping to have your first 20 drop at least. So he will have another chance for it coming up when he kills some popos. So we'll see if he gets that. But I know that he takes the tree rupee route, and he will need to pick up some drops in order to not have to slow down a little bit at the true rupee segment of the run. Wow, no drops at all from those popos. That is just crazy to me. And here we see Armos, the quick kill on Armos. Most of you know that no matter what damage you have on the Armos Knights, the last one will always refill its health because it gets all angry and red. But if you kill the last one close enough to the time that you kill the second to last one, then he doesn't have time to actually trigger that, you know, refill of health and that little anger sequence. So he just dies. That's a quick kill right there. Crossproduct having a little trouble in that Zelda gamer room, but cleans it up nicely with an arrow. And I don't know if he'll be going for true rupee, so I'm not sure if he's worried so much about that 20 drop right there. But he collects a few extra arrows as he does the bottom right strat of Armos. Having a little bit of trouble here, just trying his best not to waste too many arrows as BluntBunny picks up and Crossproduct finishes the fight nicely. BluntBunny just picked up the boots, and he's going to show us our first little trick with the boots that's going to allow him to walk freely and move at dash speed right here. That's a trick we call spin speed, and the way you activate it right now is by charging up your sword, and then as you release the sword, you tap A exactly 1 frame after the sword is released, and it puts you in this weird glitch state. It doesn't let you use your sword, but if you walk off of manual stairs properly, then you just go flying around. So we'll use that a couple times in this segment. It only saves a minimal amount of time in each room of the game that you use it, but here's another one. As you enter to get the book, which you need for the desert. And like I said, Crossproduct, I didn't think he would go for true rupees. He is going for the Sahasrara rupees. And he'll pick up some bombs here too, so he has some spare ones later throughout the run. We'll see if he makes use of those in any interesting places, because he will have some extra. Crossproduct successfully gets his first spin speed of the run. And that's a finicky trick. It is very easy to just go on a streak of just missing that trick over and over and over again, the spin speed trick. So it's nice to see our runners getting it pretty cleanly so far. I'm sure I just jinxed Crossproduct, but you know, yeah, you know, that's what you gotta deal with sometimes. Oh, he heard me, and oh no, he is going for it. Did he get it? No. Oh, he did get it. Yeah. Okay, BluntBunny uses the book, gets into Desert Palace here, and Desert Palace. Not much to say about. Not much to say about Desert Palace, other than there's a lot of dashing going on. You just got the boost. The game wants you to dash around, so lots of long hallways. Not too many crazy tricks. Coming up for BluntBunny here, there's this room. You don't actually have to bonk into the lamp. You just have to nudge up against it and then bonk into something. So that's why he kind of dashes alongside of it, and then once he hits the wall, it knocks the key off for him, and that's a pretty quick way to do that room. He will have a few areas in this segment, like this room here with these popos, to kill them and maybe get rupee drops, but apparently not. The game just doesn't feel like giving BluntBunny rupees right now. Pretty good reactions there in the cannonball room, making sure he doesn't take any damage or get knocked back. Pretty bad RNG there, but he reacted pretty nicely. Alright, Crossproduct making his way into Desert Palace now. Prays to the heavens that the dungeon will open. And lo and behold, there it goes. Cool, good stuff. Yeah, BluntBunny was so low on rupees that he actually went for that free blue rupee drop. Or, not drop, the free blue rupees under that pot in the Circle of Pots room. And yeah, you usually can skip that. You usually get good enough drops that you don't need to worry about that. But, you know, being only at 7 halfway through Desert is very low at this point for people who do Tree Rupee route. Nice spin speed here going into Desert 2. We use that pause buffer there to make sure we don't fall off, because if you fall off during that spin speed, then you just have to go all the way back around to the dungeons and loses a significant amount of time. Some more Popos coming up. We'll see if BluntBunny gets any more drops as Cross Product makes his way through this Popo room. This is absolutely insane. How does he lose this many coin flips? Okay, I have to explain now how prize packs work. So all those Popos are in the same prize pack. And when you kill an enemy with any sort of normal attack that's not a dash, it has a 50% chance to drop something. And the prize pack goes in a sequential order. So the first time you kill something in a prize pack and it drops, it'll give you the first item. And then the next time, if it gives you the drop, it'll give you the next item. And then it just keeps cycling through like that. And I'm pretty sure the last, like, 10 Popos that have been killed have not yielded any drops for BluntBunny. That is just insane to me. That's like flipping a coin 10 times in a row and just getting the same result every time. BluntBunny's time is a little bit off with these arrows. Normally, you know, this fight is pretty clean, but if you get bad RNG, then it can kind of throw your timing off. And honestly, he hasn't gotten great RNGs, pretty awkward positions, but you can tell by his movement there on that last cycle that, you know, he kind of pulled it together there at the end, so good job there. Alright, BluntBunny decking it. He sees the pendant, he says I would deck it, and Cross Product is dodging a BMOS there, making his way over to land mode now. BluntBunny is coming up on the Fake Flippers glitch, another minor glitch that we allow in the game. And what the, ooh, a little bonk there for BluntBunny. Nice, man. So what Fake Flippers is you kind of just trick the game into thinking you have the flippers. You get one free frame of movement after you dive in before the game checks if you have the flippers and says, no, 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 wrong way. And if you use that frame of movement to make a screen transition, then the game decides not to check anymore, and then is like, yep, you got flippers, it's cool. So BluntBunny's going to line up with this bush right here, and he's going to swim into that screen transition with that one frame movement he gets, and now he's got the flippers, and takes this warp, saves about 7 seconds over the second most optimal strategy for getting to Death Mountain. Okay, all right, I figured out the words. Sorry about my English, guys. But I'm sure that'll happen plenty of times throughout the run, so just bear with me here. All right, we got Cross Product taking down Land Molas, using the arrows. Oh, where did he use that bomb? Did he use a bomb here? Oh, I wish I was paying attention. Oh, he did use a bomb. Okay, cool. Yeah, he used the bomb. The bomb's cool in this strategy because it's just some free, easy damage in the first frame, in the first cycle, and allows the fight to go just a little bit quicker because you have that guaranteed damage there if you know the proper setup. So Land Molas takes, they each take 4 arrows or 4 bomb explosions or 8 slashes total if you exclusively use one of those items, or any combination thereof. So you'll see a lot of runners opting mostly for arrows, but every now and then you'll see a slash because the movement there is just a little bit easier. BluntBunny getting a little bit trolled on Death Mountain, but using the spin speed to maximize you know, efficiency going up there, and only takes 1 heart, which is not too bad for that segment. All right, Cross Product should be heading over to Fake Flippers now. The tricky or the risky thing about Fake Flippers is that if you are in the fake flipper state and you take damage, then you can soft lock the game, which would normally result in an invalid run, but there have been rules set for this tournament that if you do end up taking damage, ooh, that made me nervous. It made him nervous as well. He's just swimming well out of his way to make sure he avoids that door to avoid the soft lock. Nice, he gets into the whirlpool cleanly. But yeah, there was a rule made specifically for this tournament that if you do soft lock there, you can, as long as you don't hit any inputs after the damage is taken, you can hit select, save and quit, and continue the run as normal. That rule is made just because nobody wants a fake flipper soft lock to ruin a race this early, so for the sake of groups and for the sake of the runners and the competitive races, there's a little extra rule there, you know, because there's some cool guys in the game. So BluntBunny decides to not go for boom dash of any sort. I think he attempted it, gave it maybe 1 or 2 tries, but then said, nah, I'm just going to wait, and not doing the boom dash in that room only loses about a second to the optimal strat. Alright, crossproduct making his way up Death Mountain now. We'll see if he gets some bad RNG. BluntBunny making it through that Beatles room pretty quickly, and the next trick he's coming up on is the bomb jump. So bomb jump, it's pretty self-explanatory. All that happens is you plant the bomb close to a pit and then line yourself up so that the damage taken and the boost you get from the bomb actually takes you entirely across the pit. A little bit of a setup here, and you'll see BluntBunny bonk into the wall there before he takes the damage from the bomb, and that actually extends the distance that the bomb throws you, so it makes that trick a little bit easier. Crossproduct getting a little trolled on Death Mountain, but only takes 1 heart of damage as well, like BluntBunny, so not too bad for either of them. BluntBunny making his way into Moldorm, my man. Why do you gotta treat us so poorly all the time? So basically all I gotta do is chase his tail around, but that's easier said than done because sometimes he likes to just spin in circles, makes it pretty tough. But that was a textbook fight that BluntBunny just showed us very, very quick. Stayed on top of that tail, didn't really lose too much time. He sees the pendant there. He says, I would take it. And now he's on his way to Agahnim's tower. We see crossproduct going through this tile room, just hanging out, running around with a pot over his head, just passing the time as best as he knows how. Unfortunately, you have to wait for all of these tiles to clear out before you can go into the next room. So you just kind of do what you gotta do, you know? Alright, BluntBunny is now coming up on that tree rupee route. He's going to have to collect all of these rupees. Yeah, he has to collect all those blue rupees because he only had 7 rupees coming out of Hera. That is just, that's very uncommon. So the way this works is you pull that tree, you get 4 blue rupees, and then you, as you're making your way to and from the Master Sword, you have to kill at least 4 enemies. He's killed 3 so far. Oh, gets bush guarded, but reacts very, very well and actually starts his dash a lot further up than he normally would. Good reaction there so he doesn't take damage. You want to prevent taking damage because if you do take damage, you won't get the red rupees you need from the next tree pull. And he needs 110 rupees going into the Dark World so he can pay off Kiki and get into Palace of Darkness, the first dungeon in the Dark World. Like I said, crossproduct used the Sahasrara rupees, so he's not going to have to worry about that in the next segment. He already has the rupees he needs. So, like I said, BluntBunny has, oh nice, good execution of the bomb jump there, crossproduct, doing the bonk as well. And we see BluntBunny has 1 more enemy to kill, and I assume it's going to be this bird as he dashes up here. I don't know if, nah, he's going to slash it. There's a little prize pack manipulation there, but it's inconsequential, so I won't really get too far into it, but So there you go. He killed 4 enemies, didn't take damage, and 4 red rupees dropped out there. He's only got 107 right now, but you get some free rupees in Aghanim's tower just as a consequence of the movement you take. They're absolutely free if you use the optimal strats. So he will be okay with his rupee count going into the next segment. All right, cross product finished shutting out Moldorm. He actually had a pretty good fight himself. Got away from him a little bit at the last phase there. Moldorm speeds up, but you know, that's pretty common. Overall, has a pretty decent fight. All right, BluntBunny's making his way into the Aghanim's tower portion of the castle. He's going to be using some cool strats, but I'll talk about a prize pack manipulation here. So as I said, you have a 50-50 chance to actually get a drop from an enemy unless you dash through it. So BluntBunny is going to specifically dash through these enemies to kill them. That will prevent them from giving him a drop. And the reason he does this is because they're the group of enemies that those blue guards belong to the prize pack of is actually shared with some pokies in Turtle Rock. There's also Helmosaurs in there, and that can come into play too. But oh, unfortunately, cross product dashes into that little green guy down there. But he's not doing the true reboost, so that's not as big a deal for him. But as I was saying, he wants to prevent any drops from those enemies, because then he knows that there's a higher chance that he will get drops from later enemies in Turtle Rock, and one of the items in that prize pack is a fairy. So we want to save that fairy for later on in the game when the enemies hit harder and we actually do intentional damage boosts to get through the dungeon quickly. BluntBunny has Sword Beam still, so he's going to be using Sword Beam strats, which are slightly faster going up Aghanim's tower if you have the Sword Beam. Reacts to his unfortunate RNG where that top right guard goes left, and has a pretty solid execution of the Circle of Pots rune. Cross product collecting the Master Sword, making his way down, decking it, walking fast, and he's downtown. Ooh, BluntBunny getting poked by that guard right there. It's not going to cost him too much time, but pretty annoying thing there, because you like to cancel the dash there because it will actually prevent some movement lag from happening before you or after you come out of the stairs that are there. But yeah, you put your sword away so you can't clink against the guard, which caused BluntBunny to take the poke. All right, Agahnim. Let's talk about Agahnim. Let's not talk about Agahnim. Screw you, Agahnim. Anyway, Agahnim can attack you, and when he attacks you, you can either deflect them or you can't. And when you can't, we call those blue balls, like you saw right there. Thanks for showing off the blue balls there, BluntBunny. And each time you get blue balls, it extends the fight another 6 seconds or more, depending on if it causes you to have to sit through one of these lightning cycles. You gotta hit him 6 times, which is entirely dependent on the RNG he gives you, how quickly you can do that. Blunt looks like he's got 2 now. I haven't seen any more than that. Yeah, I think it's gonna be 2. He's gotta win this coin flip here, and it should be 2. Is it 2? Oh, it's gonna be 3. He's gonna get 3 of the blue balls here, ladies and gentlemen. This is common. I mean, that's what you get, you know. 3 is the most common, and then, you know, any more than 3, everyone likes to complain. Any less, everyone's like, okay, that's okay. And BluntBunny threw some text while cross product is making his way up Aghanim's tower. He's still got sword beam, so we'll see if he utilizes any of those strats. Ooh, uses a sword spin there. Nice strat there to prevent the guards from seeing you when you have sword beams. Ooh, takes a bonk and then unfortunately takes some damage, so he won't be able to utilize that anymore. But minor slowdown there. So BluntBunny's going to use the 113 rupees he's collected and pay off Kiki, so Kiki will follow him around and then eventually open Palace of Darkness for him. After a series of dashes through this screen and the game. And the risky part about this screen is if you pick up Kiki and then take some damage from an enemy, then Kiki runs away like a scared little friggin' whatever, and you have to make sure you have enough rupees so you can go collect them again, which can be pretty annoying and lose some time. But BluntBunny avoids damage there and does a little bit of Kiki dash. If you were to just dash up there, Kiki would be well far behind you and have to walk all the way up to Link, which loses some time. So we actually stop our dash, turn around, and then turn around again, and it puts Kiki right on top of us, and the amount of walking is greatly minimized. Alright, now we got Palace of Darkness. Cross product is making his way into Agahnim. I'm going to focus on BluntBunny because he's going to be doing a pretty major trick coming up. So I will not be counting the blue balls, but I hope I can count on chat to count those blue balls, if you know what I'm saying. So he's on a, BluntBunny is on a key collecting extravaganza right now. Just going from room to room, getting the keys he needs to be able to get to the room with the hammer, which is inside a chest. So he collected the key so he could make it up here so he can get the big key, and then he will be making his way over to the collapsing bridge in the hammer room. So he's going to be doing the hammer jump. For those of you who don't know, the hammer jump is a pretty precise trick. You have to plant a bomb on a very specific Y pixel, and then you need to place Link on a very specific Y pixel in relation to the bomb so that Link will clip through the rail at a very specific spot, allowing you to collect the hammer in the chest. So you'll see that coming up. If he decides to get this bomb, which he does, that extra little bomb pickup, it makes the trick a little harder because you have to get this trick done before the bridge collapses, and you know, that time can be pretty valuable. So picking up that extra bomb makes the trick a little bit tighter, but BluntBunny, with a few extra buffers, pulls it off. Alright, cross product cleanly through there right as I finished explaining the bomb jump, which is pretty typical. I didn't get to count any blue balls at all, so I'm hoping you guys were paying attention. I'm just going to believe whatever everyone says. So it looks like he got 1, he got 4, he got 2, he got 5, he got 5, and he got 3. So, wow, BluntBunny's movement's just spectacular. Great job, BluntBunny. Ooh. Man, sexy statue right there. When you have to move from pushing that statue from the left side to pushing it from the bottom, it can be kind of annoying. And if you do it smoothly like that, we call it a sexy statue, and that's what BluntBunny just got. BluntBunny just manipulated those mimics and killed them very quickly. Mimics rooms, to me, are very fun to practice, to learn how to do, because they're very counterintuitive with the movement. Especially with the red ones later in the game, who move opposite of Link. It's really fun to learn how to manipulate them and get them into position so you can kill them as quickly as possible. Cross product coming up on Kiki right now. I'm going to pay off the greedy monkey to follow him around. Hopefully we'll not take damage before getting to the dungeon, and hopefully we'll be employing that Kiki dash. Oh, no Kiki dash, so you're going to have to see Kiki walk all the way up, and you'll see how slow that is right there. We save a lot of time with the Kiki dash, and you might have remembered from the way BluntBunny did it. So BluntBunny doing the no sword out strat, Definitely quicker, but a lot more difficult because you're moving a lot faster. Oh, getting some really bad RNG. Every time you get those fireballs, that's unfavorable. Just makes the fight last a little longer, makes you a little more uncomfortable, and makes it a lot more difficult to actually get hits off. But deals with the RNG pretty well, and gets a nice clean fight off on Helmasaur. Oh, Lynx uses first pendant. Oh, that's not his first pendant. That's his first crystal. Sorry, guys. He sees his first crystal and goes, "Oh yeah, I am taking it." And all of a sudden, a maiden pops out. So that's pretty cool. Cross product on his key collecting spree, as we saw BluntBunny doing before heading over to the hammer jump. He just took bombs out, so I assume he's going to be going to collect the big key, and we'll see if he employs a hammer jump. I know it's something that not everyone does, but I'm sure it's grown more and more ubiquitous as time has gone on, and you know, the practice resources have improved. So the main says her piece and says, "Do you take it?" And then Link says, "Yes, I take it." And then he swings his sword around and he is magically able to exit the dungeon. So BluntBunny is about to do a hammer dash. Anytime we say an item and then the word dash, it is a specific minor glitch called an item dash. If you hit Y and A on the same frame, which BluntBunny just attempted and unfortunately failed the first time, but shows it off there, it will have differing effects. Oh, cross product going for the bomb jump right now. Looks like he had a little trouble on his first go, but he's trying to get in position now. Alright, he's doing the one bomb strat, and nice, he gets it there. But yeah, if you hit Y and A on the same frame, then it allows you to use the item and start dashing at the same time, depending on the item that you're using. Sometimes it has some interesting effects that are not consistent, but for the most part, it is, you know, that's just what it is. Fun fact: if you if you item dash with the shovel, then anything you dig out will actually not give you any drops. So it'll dig up all the earth, but you won't get drops. Alright, BluntBunny is... It looks like he got the dig. Yeah, he got the first dig flute. He's a professional. It's very, very, very difficult to do that. And he's going to spin speed right past the Usain Bolt guard. That guard's really fast. He can give you the fits if you don't really know how to deal with him. But if you do the spin speed, there's a specific pattern you can move in, and you'll avoid him every time. Pretty solid Mimics room there from Cross Product as well. So Link goes over here, he plays his flute, and the bird goes, "What's that sound?" When he explodes out and says, "I will help you when you need it. You know how to call me." And then BluntBunny's going to do spin speed over here and go over to the Apple screen. Cross product going through up to the turtle room. Here we go. Getting that turtle out of his way. Going into this turtle room. See how this goes for him. Nice, not bad. Good stuff there from Cross Product. And BluntBunny is just dashing around, dashing down, dashing right, dashing down, dashing right. Going over to Thieves Town. As Cross Product enters the Helmasaur fight. Focus on him. All BluntBunny's doing is going around collecting the big key and then making his way to the second part, or the main part of the dungeon. So we got Cross Product doing the sword out strat. This actually extends the hitbox of the hammer, so you can be a little bit further away from Helmasaur when you're hammering him. And it's a little safer, like I said, because it slows down your movement and makes it a little bit more manageable, especially if Helmasaur charges you just like you did just there. But Cross Product getting charged by Helma there decides to go for the slash strategy, uses the wall at the bottom of the screen as a backboard so he can just quickly get those slashes off and finish off the fight. Good stuff there. BluntBunny has made his way into the main portion of this dungeon, collected the key, tried to avoid lag as much as possible, and now he's coming up on the hellway. If he can land Link on a specific pixel here and get good RNG, he did land on that specific pixel, but didn't get good RNG, so he actually had to cancel his dash and took some damage on the way up. Unfortunate there, but good execution otherwise. And he actually got blocked by that Patrick Star, but ended up hammering it. Really good reaction there by BluntBunny. Cross product sees crystal, says I would take it. The maiden says I will tell you this. Do you take it downtown? And then he's gonna say of course I do, and then he's gonna leave the dungeon too. Alright, so cross product making his way out of the Palace of Darkness overworld screen. We will see how he fares with this pterodactyl down here. Can do a lot of damage, so we'll see what strategy he employs to avoid that. Yeah, he just takes a safe route, goes to the left, and he's going to dash over here, and then dash down, and we'll see if he is able to pull off the hammer jump here as well. BluntBunny, in the meantime, is going to pick up this maiden, who's not really a maiden, and then he's going to go pick up the bits and go over to the blind fight. He got the mitts. Alright. Blind fight's totally scripted. All it takes is 3 hits from a sword, not a sword beam. Sword beams make the fight go bad. So it just takes 3 hits from a sword in each cycle. And if you hit blind as early as possible every single time, he will move the exact same way, and the fight will go the same way every time. So, oh, BluntBunny makes a very, very, very small mistake, which will cause this fight to go a little bit differently. As you see, blind actually goes to the bottom of the screen there, which, if that happens, you know the fight's getting away from you. But Blunt has seen this all before, and oh, he's having some trouble. But oh, good, he gets that last slash off at the bottom of the screen there. So what happened there was BluntBunny. You're holding your sword out to make sure you get the poke as early as possible on blind when he appears there. And if you release B at just the wrong time, you'll actually poke blind, and then you'll release a spin, and that throws off the timing of the whole fight. So what most runners will do there is they'll hold the sword out and they'll hold the B button just long enough to know that they got the poke off and Link retracted his sword, so he will not actually do a poke spin there. So another crystal there dropped for Link. He picks it up. He says, hey, if this is a crystal, I would take it. And then the maiden comes out, tells him this, that, and the other thing, and he says, all right, I'm going to go to Skullwoods now. Meanwhile, Cross Product gets the spiel from the duck. The duck says, I will help you. You know how to call on it. And then it just flies away. BluntBunny gonna go over here, get this guy over here, and get the tempered sword. So this is a good point in the run, I guess, to talk about routing. And you notice that we went through the Light World dungeons in the intended order, because that is the fastest way to do them without major glitches. But the Dark World's a little different. The Dark World, you have to beat Palace of Darkness, and then you just have free reign to go wherever you want, as long as you can get there with the items you have. And the fastest way for us to go about the Dark World is to... Oh, cool little boost from Cross Product there. Anyway, the fastest way to get through the Dark World is to get the Titan's Mitts or Golden Gloves or whatever the heck they're called in Thieves Town, so that you can get the Tempered Sword, which actually speeds up a lot of the boss fights later on. And we skip Swamp till later because you get the hook shot, which allows you to get spin speed a lot faster, but
it's also not really useful in optimizing any other parts of the run. So we go through the other segments because they're a little bit quicker to go to, and they yield items that are a little bit more lucrative in terms of going fast. Alright, so BluntBunny finishes off his rupee collecting spree. He's going to need those in the next segment when he picks up the flippers, because those cost a whole lot of money for no apparent reason. And now he's just making his way up to Skull Woods. This is a pretty quick segment. You know, there's multiple entrances to this dungeon, and it can be pretty confusing depending on where you fall in when you're playing casually. But it turns out that getting the big key is pretty free, and all we need to do is collect the fire rod and then go over to the last segment of the dungeon, which is just a straight shot to Mothulus. So like I said, can be pretty confusing casually, but when you know the route of the dungeon, it's very, very quick and straightforward. So very solid execution in that mummy room right there. He goes this way to collect the big key in this chest here. Wow, really good reaction there to make sure he doesn't take damage from that spike. And now he's just going to make his way over to the room with the big chest that contains the fire rod, and he's going to do another bomb jump there. This is a simple one. This is very similar to the bomb jump that we did in Hera to get the Moon Pearl. There's just a little gap that he's going to plant a bomb, and then he'll bonk against the wall to increase the distance that the bomb knocks him back. And have to deal with some Moldworms on this side, but Moldworm gives him a little bit of trouble, but he just slashes him out of the way, and now he's instead of falling in that hole, which he usually would do, he decides to bonk over. And maybe he's trying to save hearts, but you see that he had to slash that Popo coming out of the door there. If you do the falling strat, you actually save your iframes as you come out of that room, and you can just walk straight through him. So a little optimization there if you decide to fall down, but it does cost you a heart. And like I said, once we collect the fire rod, all we got to do is go to the end of the dungeon. And the last part of the dungeon, all it is a straight shot to Mothulus. So nothing crazy, nothing confusing, just big key, fire rod, Mothulus. That's all it is here, which causes for a pretty quick, short segment. The cross product, meanwhile, has collected up the maiden. She's following him around, and just going over to get the mitts real quick before he takes on that fight himself. Alright, BluntBunny is going into the Moth fight right now. Moth takes 4 hits from a Tempered Sword, and spins don't do anything to Moth, I believe. I could be wrong on that, so don't quote me on that. But the only point about Moth, as you're seeing here, is, like I said, it takes 4 hits from the Tempered Sword, but if you knock him into spikes, that damage is negated. So if he hangs around the spikes on the edges of the fight, it's you just have to find a way to coax him away. If he's at the top of the room, you can do poke dashes, which allow you to get some damage off on him. The way that works is we got cross product employing beam strats over here on blind, which is just a safer way to do the fight if you have beams going in. But as I was saying, the way the poke dash works is you hold your sword out, and then when you poke, you actually tap A to keep your sword out, and it causes the poke to do full sword damage. So that kind of manipulates Moth to bounce off the spikes and then take another hit from the sword. And nice job to cross product there, finishing up that blind fight. Alright, so each of these guys getting another crystal. The maiden's coming out saying, hey, you take this crystal? And then Link says, yes, I take it. And then, Link's just like, alright, I'm gonna go over to Ice Palace now. Or in cross product's case, I'm gonna go over to Skullwoods now. Alright, BluntBunny is making his way over to Ice Palace, but before we do that, he's got to go on a little bit of a collecting spree. We collect these things here now because there's a warp just outside of this area over here in the light world that takes you right in front of Ice Palace. So it's best to go here before Ice Palace because you have a quick, easy route to get there. Unfortunately, BluntBunny takes some damage there, but that shouldn't cost him too much time. There's a few rooms in Ice Palace. Ooh, nice, he gets that 50-50 drop there from the bush. That's the reason he picked up that bush where there was hoping for that hard drop. But yeah, that's the reason we go this way, is we get these items and then just puts us right outside Ice Palace using that warp in the light world. Meanwhile, crossproduct going to collect himself a tempered sword and then a few more rupees, and he'll be making his way through Skull Woods. We got BluntBunny over here maximizing his dashes through the water. You want to maximize your dashes through water because water just makes it super slow. Walking around in water is just really non-optimal. So you want to have really long dashes to make sure that you're getting the most out of your movement whenever you're on a screen with water. So BluntBunny collects the flippers there using all those rupees we collected for. Crossproduct collects the tempered sword, which will make the rest of the speedrun a little bit easier, as it helps speed up some of those boss fights. And Blunt's coming up on that whirlpool I was talking about. That will take him right to Ice Palace. Alright, so I said BluntBunny took some damage, but he knows his backups and he knows how to get those hearts back, and he's going to be utilizing his sword beams in this segment, or in a few rooms in this dungeon, just to make it a little bit quicker. That was one right there you saw as he dealt with those jellies to get that key a little bit more quickly, and then you'll see some beam strats coming out in the conveyor room before the bomb jump. Crossproduct is opting to kill those mummies, get them out of the way, because they can do a lot of damage. So he just decides to kill them and then make his way over to the big key there, while BluntBunny is hit some crystals, planting a couple bombs, planting the bomb in a specific spot so it actually explodes that floor and hits the crystal, which sets him up nicely so he doesn't have to hit the crystal again before the bomb jump. And you will see him using some sword beam strats here. Ooh. So what he tried to do there was set himself up. When you hit those spikes right there, you can actually line up on the spikes during the iframes, and that gives you a clean, straight dash through the entire room. But he actually bounced off them the wrong way. So a little unfortunate there for him, but not too big of a time loss. Now he just finishes off that bomb jump pretty quickly. Similar to the way most bomb jumps work is you have to plant the bomb on the way the hammer jump works is you have to plant the bomb on a specific number of pixels. It's not as pixel perfect as the hammer jump, but you have a couple of pixels of leeway with the ice bomb jump there. And then you have to place Link on a specific pixel in relation to where you plant the bomb. But the visual cues for that are pretty straightforward and pretty similar for the different positions of the bomb you can use. So that Ice Palace bomb jump is probably not hard, but it's the most nerve-wracking because a fall there, running out of bombs there, dying there is pretty costly. BluntBunny going into the cold stare fight now as Crossproduct is approaching Mothula. Oh no, Crossproduct gets bunnied, and he's just going to wait it out. Actually takes some damage from the Moldorm to cancel the bunny, and will make his way. Ooh, just fires the mummy there to get the key with the fire rod. And BluntBunny has a really clean fight on cold stare right there. There's a number of ways people like to kill colds there. There's a few different strats, but BluntBunny shows off one of the best strats there, which is the double poke dash. He actually mistimes the spin just slightly, and he has to add an extra slash to the end of it. Oh wait, no, that was a slightly different variation of the strat, so I think that was actually intentional. That last slash, I believe, was intentional. I think he just mixed up the strat a little bit. Cross product gets really close to dying at Mothula. The longer that fight goes, the harder it gets, because you got spikes everywhere, you got Mothula shooting beams at you, but fortunately he's able to get that last hit off. So, there we go. Another boss defeated, another crystal dropping, and Link goes, "Oh, do you think I take it? Of course I take it." Now, finally, we are making our way over to the Swamp Palace, which is casually intended to be the second dungeon you do in the game. At least that's the way the map is numbered. However, like I said, we're kind of given free reign of the Dark World, and it's not really necessary to do Swamp Palace until now. But this causes us to have collected a lot more heart containers, and causes us to have a lot more hearts than we were intended to have going into this dungeon. So there's a lot of enemies in this dungeon, but they all do just a little bit of damage. None of them do crazy damage, so you're not really at risk of dying here in this dungeon coming up, but you can lose a lot of time just from... Ooh, nice. Ooh, he just misses the anti-fairy skip, cancels his dash a little too early. That strat there, you can actually walk above that anti-fairy coming out of that dash, and it saves just a few frames. But as I was saying, it causes, why did I just start my sentence like that? As I was saying, you can lose time in this dungeon just by, a lot of bad RNG and having to react to enemies moving in funky directions. But otherwise, it's pretty straightforward, and there's not too much risk of losing a run or anything. I've been watching cross product, and it doesn't look like his timer's gone green when he's been splitting, or gone red when he's been splitting. So I'm going to assume that he's on a pretty decent pace right now. I don't have his actual stream up, so I don't know what his splits are, but it looks like he's having a really good run for himself. He's going to go over and actually collect up some potions to help him out for the rest of the run. And that's a really good time to do it too, because you just walk right past that, segment of the light world in the dark world. So you just mirror over, collect what you need to collect, and then make your way over to the catfish and the Zora before heading to Ice Palace. So BluntBunny here just on a little bit of a key collecting spree before he hits the switch to fill everything with water. There we go, he's hit that little lever right there, which is going to fill the dungeon with water. And he's going to hit that switch on his way out, which is important, because if he doesn't, then he gets to the big key, and the chest with the big key, and he gets really sad, because he's blocked off from it and has to go all the way back around. So good thing he hit that crystal switch there, and now he's, like I said, just making his way over to the chest with the big key in it, before he can collect the hook shot and make his way over to Argus. Cross Product has collected the flippers, making his way to Ice Palace now. While BluntBunny's getting the big key here. Pretty boring stuff going on right now. The way to Ice Palace is a little bit treacherous, but Cross Product has plenty of backups to help him out if necessary. And BluntBunny's going through Swamp Palace, which is just boring because, like I said, there's not a lot of enemies that can kill you. It's just boring stuff going on. It's just some dashes here, some dashes there, some nice walking around, some water slowing you down a little bit, but nothing crazy. Alright, so BluntBunny did a little bit of setup here as he approached that chest, which is going to allow him to be on the exact pixel to hook to that pot that has the key under it. It's a specific pixel. You have to be on a very specific pixel in order to hook to that key, but there is a setup for it. And for those of you who haven't played this game, that pot under that statue that BluntBunny just picked up is very finicky. If you try to do that normally, you're just gonna grab the pot over and over again a few times until the game says, okay, I'll let you pick this up now. But we avoid that by going into the spin speed state with the hook dash. So you do a hook dash there, it puts you in that spin speed state, which for some reason or another, I don't know why, allows you to pick up that pot on the first try. BluntBunny seems to need some arrows here, so he's going to pick up those in the resupply room to make sure he has plenty for the late game. And he'll make his way to Argus. So I'll explain Argus real quick as he gets into it. You have to dash into Argus to make sure your sword's out as you enter the screen for the zero cycle strat. The zero cycle strat is when you kill all the puffs and Argus jumps up before one of his big whirlwind attacks where he fans the puffs out. So he's going in now, he's holding B, he's going to do a hook dash, which is going to cause his pokes to do full sword damage. Oh, he gets bad RNG from the movement there, but he fixes it and he actually gets the zero cycle after taking a hit from Argus. That is really, really good heads up play, really good execution there. So continue my explanation there, and he also gets the quick kill on the second phase of that fight. So really good stuff coming out from BluntBunny there. Really good fight, getting the zero cycle despite taking damage and getting bad RNG. So yeah, you want to put yourself in that hook dash state so that your pokes do full sword damage, and then you want to hook the puffs in a very, very specific timing to make sure that your sword stays out and doesn't retract after each poke, which allows you to be able to cause Argus to enter his next phase before he does that, you know, whirlwind puff of death expansion attack, whatever you want to call it. Alright, cross product made it cleanly through the bomb jump. I didn't mention it just because BluntBunny was executing Argus perfectly, and that just had my attention. But he does get through it, and looks like he's having a little bit of trouble on this segment because his timer just has gone red. It looks like I'm jinxing everyone, man. I hate being a commentator because you say things and then friggin' the opposite happens, and then you just feel bad. But he's going to be making his way into Cold Stare now. He'll see how he fares in that fight. BluntBunny going on a little collecting spree before Mire now. He's got to get the medallion. That'll allow him to enter one of these dungeons. I don't know which medallion's which, I'm going to be honest. I just know that I have to get them both before I come up to Mire. Ooh, cross product corners him. Corners Cold Stare, gets him into corner, and gets most of the attacks he needs to off. Wow, health gets a little low there. Any hit from a puff would have killed him. But fortunately, he's able to finish up that fight without taking that last hit. Yeah, so we get this medallion, and then BluntBunny's going to go over and get the ice rod. And then that's it. Then we have everything we need before heading into Mire and then going into the late game. I am trying to follow the chat, guys, and I do see a question: is that full sword glitch JP 1.0 exclusive? And yes, all of the minor glitches that you see here, or well, most, if not all of the minor glitches that you see, are Japanese 1.0 only. Alright, so cross product kills off Cold Stare, and you know, crystal drops, and he says, oh, I will take it. And then the maiden comes out and gives her longest speech yet, and Link says, alright, can I take it? And she says, okay, and then now he's on his way to Swamp Palace. Now BluntBunny has actually preserved full health here, and that's important because it's going to have sword beams, and there's a really, really cool room coming up. We call it Mire 2 because it's the second room in Mire, and because we're really good at naming rooms. And the reason that sword beams are important is because you need to kill all these enemies in order to actually be able to exit the room. But they're kind of scattered all over, and then you got wizrobes that like to disappear. So we utilize the sword beams to help us get through this room very, very quickly, and BluntBunny will hopefully be able to show you that right now. He gets some bad RNG there from that little Popo that he has to chase after there. And it looks like something got in his way when he tried to beam that wizrobe on the right there. So still gets through the room pretty quickly, but a little bit of bad luck there as well. Alright, so cross product going on his collecting spree as well before heading over to Swamp. So he decides to get these items before Swamp. And some runners do decide to do this. If you get them after Mire, it's a little bit quicker. And I believe getting the Ice Rod after... excuse me, if you get them after Swamp, it's a little bit quicker than before. But I believe getting the Ice Rod after Misery Mire is quicker than getting it before, like BluntBunny's done. But it's also a little riskier because, you know, you're already doing a damage boost in Turtle Rock. So we like to get that on our way to Misery Mire. It also allows you to farm for hearts if you take some damage in the Death Mountain portion to get the medallion. So that's another reason we like to do it there as well. So pretty straightforward stuff. BluntBunny is on a blazing pace. He it looks like he got to the torches in a 125, which is very, very, very good pace for him. He was very, very, very good pace in general. But yeah, he's had some pretty solid, clean boss fights and not too many hiccups here and there. So I'm assuming he's on a pretty solid pace still. Alright, BluntBunny has picked up the Cane of Samaria. Cross Product is going on his key collecting spree in the Swamp Palace. And we'll see BluntBunny coming up to Vitreous as Cross Product makes his way, his overpowered Link way, through Swamp Palace. Cool little strat coming up here. When BluntBunny plants the bomb now, his menu is automatically going to cycle him to fire rod. So that saves him time having a menu to it, and he can just fire rod that crystal and not walk all the way over towards it to slash it, which is a nice little time save. That's intentional. We make sure we have only 2 bombs leaving the Swamp Palace segment. And we use one at the Ice Rod, and then we use one there to make sure that we will get that free menu switch. We use a lot of damage boost for this fight that BluntBunny's in right now. We use the goo to avoid wow, he's getting really bad RNG. The eyes just going in all sorts of different directions, not allowing him to utilize the damage boost as effectively as he could. That was really bad RNG, honestly. That was just horrendous. But yeah, the way we do that fight is the eyeballs do a ton of damage, so we like to take damage from the goo instead, because that only does 1 heart of damage. And then while we're in the goo, we charge up our sword and release some slashes to do as much damage as possible during those damage boosts. This does allow for a possible 0 cycle of Vitreous, which is killing all of those eyeballs before Vitreous does a lightning attack, but like I said, BluntBunny got some really bad RNG there, and unfortunately did not get the 0 cycle. So he's going to lose a little bit of time on that. Otherwise, you know, another crystal is dropping down, and Link says, "Oh, another crystal! I should deck it." And then the maiden comes out and says her piece, and Link's like, "Okay, thank you. Time for me to deck it." All right, crossproduct has got the big key. He filled the hallways with water, and he remembered to hit that peg switch, or that crystal switch, so he doesn't have to go all the way back around and hit it, fortunately. So he's got that, and he's going to go over and get the hook shot. Meanwhile, BluntBunny's doing a sword climb. Oh, BluntBunny showing off a really cool little trick there. If you hook shot the dead rocks, these little scroll things, fast enough, you can actually push them back continuously while they're turning into rocks. So he just hook shotted them 3 times in a row very quickly to make sure he was out of the way and not blocking him at any point. Again, BluntBunny just getting trolled by these dead rocks, just running into him while he's just trying to get to the next screen. And just getting right in his way when he wants to pick up a rock, too. Alright. Makes it through there quickly. He's going to do a little bit of a dash here to get spin speed. And kill those pegs quickly. Kill the pegs? Do you kill pegs? No. You hammer them into the ground. Okay, so he hammers those pegs quickly. And now he is on his way into Turtle Rock. As far as I know, the RNG of all the versions is the same. I don't know why it would have changed from version to version, but that's not something I've actually looked into or spoken with anyone about, so I can't be 100% certain. Alright, crossproduct is full of health. He's full, well, not full, but he has plenty of health. He's got all his bombs, got all his arrows, so he does not have to resupply there. Well, BluntBunny is doing this torches room. Instead of going all the way around, we actually utilize the hook shot so we can fall into the hole and just walk over to this room. And he's going to do a little bit of a damage boost here. He's going to hook shot through the little roller there, and then he's going to use a damage boost down here to make sure he gets out of the room quickly. Fun fact, when you use the hookshot, you actually have iframes through the entirety of it, so if an enemy's coming at you, you can just hookshot, and as long as the hookshot doesn't get cut short and the enemy or the attack passes through you while you're hookshotting, you won't take damage. Got crossproduct finishing up Argus right now. Oh, Argus sits on him, and he's down to low health, but he should be able to finish it. Oh wow, BluntBunny gets really, really unlucky with the chomps there. They both go in the direction, in a direction that is just blocking him off completely from where he needs to go. So he's got to wait a little bit, but does make it through. He makes it through pretty quickly for how bad RNG he got. And crossproduct sees a crystal on the ground, says, "Hey, I would take it." And he's gonna listen to the maiden and see what she has to say, and then be on his way. Oh, BluntBunny taking an unfortunate hit there from the Pokey. That's probably the hardest RNG for that Pokey to deal with in that room. I don't think BluntBunny has. I wasn't paying attention. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think he's gotten the fairy drop yet. If he has, that's unfortunate. Oh no, he definitely got the fairy drop because he took damage there and he has taken 4 hearts, so he was at full health. So that's unfortunate. He does drop his sword beams, and he's not gonna be able to utilize the sword beams to speed up some of these rooms coming up. But that's probably the hardest RNG to deal with, is when that Pokey's in the bottom left of that room. Alright, so crossproduct collected all the items before Swamp, so he's just going to be able to go directly to Mire now. And BluntBunny did make the tutorial on this Poke 2 room. There's 16 RNGs there. He's studied them all, practiced them all, and he knows the best strat for you know, any of the 16 RNGs he can get, and he gets through that room quickly. BluntBunny using the iframes from the peg there to just walk straight through that roller. And crossproduct entering the mire 2 room now. Let's see how he cleans this up. He decides to use sword beams, which is pretty solid strat. Just, you know, advance the camera up the room a little bit more slowly so the enemies spawn a little bit more slowly and it's a little bit easier to deal with. BluntBunny going to be going for the laser skip right here. Get this beetle out of the way, and then there are a couple of frames that you can dash along that little bridge towards that chest where the laser that shoots out will not actually hit you. So you do a dash, you nudge around the little rail there, and you can, if you time it right, you can avoid that laser entirely. And now he's on his way to Trinex. So I'm assuming we're going to see a backdoor Trinex strat. He's going to dash behind Trinex, and then he's going to use that back wall as a kind of like a backboard, so it's a lot easier to get all of these slashes off very quickly, which is a little bit faster than if you stood in front of Trinex. Another cool optimization there. When a head is exploding, you're not able to use the pause menu, and that's true of any boss. If any part of the boss is exploding, like one of the cold puffs, you're not able to use the pause menu. We'll see Blunt going for a quick kill here, 2 slashes consecutively, and then, or 2 spins consecutively, and then a normal slash. We'll finish off the last phase of that boss pretty quickly. But like I said, you're not allowed to pause during boss explosions, so he actually switches over to the fire rod, so he doesn't have to wait for the fire head to explode before he can start attacking the ice head with the fire rod. BluntBunny just killed another boss. You know what that means? A crystal's gonna drop, and he says, "Oh, number 7? Yes, I would take it." This one happens to be Zelda, and Zelda says, "Alright, if you don't know what you have to do at this point, I can't help you, so just get the heck out of here. And just make sure when you get to Ganon, you make him deck it." And he says, "Okay, I would deck it." Long story short, no major glitches, just doesn't allow you to do any major sequence breaks in the game. But you can get more information from that help sorting comment there. Oh, there's plenty of RNG. NMG just refers to the glitches. Alright, BluntBunny is making his way into Ganon's tower now. A great way to finish the game. A lot of rooms where you have to kill all the enemies, and, you know, with some tricky movement, but pretty rewarding when you've practiced it. You can pull it off very efficiently. Crossproduct actually decided to get a different key route in that dungeon, in the Mire dungeon, than BluntBunny. He sometimes that spike key can be a little dangerous because you have to just walk on the spikes in order to get it. And since we haven't gone out of our way to get the cape or anything like that, you will just, you know, take full damage. And we also have the green tunic still, so we're just, you know, taking lots of damage. So he avoids that by getting an alternate key elsewhere in Misery Mire. Oh, nice cane dash coming out from crossproduct. Oh, unfortunately the block was not lined up properly and it didn't hit the switch, so he's gonna have to replace it. But that was a pretty cool swaggy trick. When you do an item dash with the cane of Samaria and there's a block down, it'll actually explode the block while you do a dash. BluntBunny coming up on the first of the refights. He's fighting Armos on ice now, and that's supposed to make the fight a little harder, but and we actually change up our strat here a little bit so that we end at the top of the room. That's because there's a door this time. The first fight, we don't really care where we end, but we want to end at the top of the room here because we want to exit the room as quickly as possible once they open. And BluntBunny shows off that strat there pretty nicely. Oh no, unfortunately crossproduct takes death on Vitreous. Like I said, those eyeballs do a lot of damage, and it looks like one just unfortunately charged at him, so he's going to have to make his way back through the misery mire. And he does have some backup, so hopefully he'll be able to. Oh my god, these mimics. BluntBunny. Like I said, these rooms are really fun to optimize and figure out how to move and get the mimics in position so you can kill them quickly. And man, it is tough to do, but when you see a well-executed mimics room, it is one of the most impressive things in the game to me. So BluntBunny is going to make his way through the gauntlet now. Ooh, wow. A little bit of a buffer strat there with the arrow, I assume, but mistimes it slightly and gets knocked off of the bridge. But he can just dash through, and now he's got to go through the gauntlet. A series of rooms where you have to kill all the enemies in each room in order to progress. So there's a couple of different strats in each room, but there's a lot of RNG because every enemy moves in some sort of random pattern. So you just kind of have to deal with what you get. He's actually getting some pretty decent RNG, and he's also dealing with the RNG really well. So he's having some pretty good rooms here. These rooms can go horribly wrong and just cause you to lose several seconds per room. But BluntBunny had not the greatest RNG, but very, very, very well executed. Now we got the Landmo refight where there's an annoying beam in the corner just shooting at you the whole time, but we have the fire rod, which makes us a little overpowered, and BluntBunny shows off a one-cycle Landmo right there, getting 2 fire rod shots off on each of the Landmos as they sprout out of the ground. Cool Samaria strats coming out onto these whiz ropes here. They spawn in a specific pattern like that, so you can use the block there to kill them on pretty quickly. Crossproduct entering the Vitreous fight again. Oh no, it's just getting unfortunate eyeballs just charging right at him. So he decides to use the rightmost pixel in the room, which actually is the only point in the room that won't damage you when you're that high up. So the goo extends all the way to the left and right except for on that pixel. So yeah, he's only got 3 hearts. Another hit from one of those eyeballs will cause him to take another death here, which he's hoping to avoid. So like I said, he utilizes that rightmost pixel to stand on and make sure that he kills off those buffs, or those eyeballs, excuse me. BluntBunny is just blazing through Ganon's tower right now. I spent some time looking at the cross-product fight on Vitreous. He cleans that up nicely, but BluntBunny's made it through another 3 rooms now. Albeit they were short rooms, but he is executing at a very high level right now. Oh, nice 20 rupee drop. Could have used that in Eastern game. Thanks. Didn't give me it then, but thanks. But we have cross-product decking the crystal. He sees it on the ground. He says, I would take it. And then the maiden comes and says her piece, and he will be on his way to Turtle Rock. Now we got BluntBunny facing off against Agahnim here. Agahnim works similar. He can randomly give you blue balls, but only the real version of Agahnim will give you blue balls, and the others will give you fully deflectable shots. It's a little bit of a geometry game here. You want to know, you want to have to quickly figure out where to stand based on where the illusions are standing in relation to the real Agahnim. So, it's a lot to keep track of, and you need to know how to slash properly in order to make sure the beams deflect the proper way towards the real Agahnim to do damage. So it's a fight that can get pretty hairy and pretty out of hand, depending on if you get bad RNG. And he'll be making his way into Ganon. Oh, unfortunately, cross-product gets blocked by a squirrel here as he makes his way up Death Mountain. Oh, he is getting Waffle Housed really bad. but he does have some backups, and there is a fairy on the way up that I'm sure he'll collect, so he'll be all right. BluntBunny, meanwhile, going to the Ganon fight, going for the one-on-one, doing this really swaggy, difficult-looking strat where you go inside the fire bats and dash through Ganon to get the proper amount of hits off, and then takes a hit from one of the bats as he starts the third phase of the fight. Phase 3, really easy. You just gotta hope Ganon doesn't warp. All you have to do is when Ganon stops to light up one of those bats, you just slash him to prevent him from doing that, and that causes the cycle to progress further. So he's got one more hit. You got to do that 4 times to get all these tiles to fall. Getting some bad warps here on this 4th one. These are completely RNG, and each warp costs about 1.5 seconds of time loss. And now BluntBunny will be doing the torch glitch. Torch glitch is when the torches go out in this room, the left one goes out, and then I don't know, about 0.5 second later, the right one goes out. I think that's about right. But if you light the left one before the right one goes out, then the right one is eternally lit, and you only have to worry about lighting the left one. If you light them properly, each lighting of the left torch allows you to get 3 attacks in on Ganon, and that's the most you can get if you optimize your movement and light the torch at the proper time. And it looks like BluntBunny hasn't really missed a spin yet, and he successfully defeats Ganon there with that last attack. And man, that was great. That was just all around really good stuff. Over a minute off of his best time, but still a really solid run. No major hiccups anywhere. A low 126 is a great effort from BluntBunny. Let's see if I'm going to see if Blunt wants to come in here for a little bit of some interview action. So stay tuned for that. And we see crossproduct has noticed, it looks like, that BluntBunny is finished. He's paused indefinitely here, so we'll see if he decides to continue. Alright, it looks like BluntBunny has finished with an official race time of 126.40. Great job by him, giving us a showcase there. Like I said, he's the one who created the most recent God tasks, or God's Place as we like to call it, where you execute each room in real time and then splice them together. And like I said, he knows the game inside and out, has great movement, and executes really well in this run today. Meanwhile, crossproduct has continued the run, making his way through Turtle Rock. The main points in this segment are the pokies. They're kind of annoying with their movement, and you have to spin them in a specific way to make sure you kill them in one shot. And if you don't, things can get a little out of hand. And again, crossproduct getting the same RNG there as BluntBunny got, which is probably the most difficult RNG to deal with. Oh no, and he gets lasered there as he tries to leave the room. So he's low on hearts, but like I said, I believe he has backup. He's actually taking a slightly different route. He's gonna pick up this magic here and collect some health and resources in this top part of this room before he continues on. Alright, we see cross-product utilizing the fire rod. Like I said, those pokies can be really annoying because you have to spin them in a specific way to make sure you one-shot them. So he takes out the fire rod, which is a guaranteed one-shot, and cleans up the pokies and Poke 2. Cool use of the fire rod there to hit that crystal, and then takes out the Canis Maria to utilize, to use a little less magic as he's making his way through the rest of Turtle Rock here. Alright, I misspoke. Something apparently happened when BluntBunny tried to done, and the original done time was a 1:26:11 on the speed racing channel. So a 1:26:11 official speed racing time coming out from BluntBunny there. Cross product actually decides to do a little bit of safety strat here. He bombs the bottom wall in this room, which he's got some low health, so it's totally reasonable, because what that allows him to do is if he takes a death like he just did here, he will not spawn all the way at the beginning of the dungeon. He will actually spawn right here, right where he had some trouble with this trick. So pretty solid strat there. He makes sure he's good stuff there. He gets himself on the proper pixel, dashes to the left, and times it properly so he can nudge around that railing without taking damage from that laser. Looks like I'm joined by BluntBunny here now. BluntBunny, thanks for the wonderful race and solid time there.
Yo, thanks.
So 1:26:11 is only about what, a minute and 20 seconds off your PB. So pretty solid time. Was there any point in the run that to me it seemed like really, really solid execution all around. So was there any point in the run that you noticed that something went pretty wrong, or where you think you lost a lot of time?
Skull was really bad. I had like a moth party. And then the blind party too.
Oh yeah, the classic poke spin and blind.
I only lost like 2 there, which was surprising. And ice was really bad too. I think I got hit on the overworld or something. And it snowballed.
Yeah, and you had to go looking for hearts in that segment.
Yeah, I think mire was really bad, but I'm trying to remember why. I think everything went wrong. And a Vidi fight was really scary.
Yeah, you got some pretty unfortunate eyeballs there. You just kept poking them because of the way they were, jumping out at you and stuff. So, I honestly, from what I saw, though, whenever you got some bad RNG like that, you executed really well. So, it was really fun to see. You've played the game plenty, so it's just experience at that point.
Yeah, I'm still like kind of de-rusting too. So like stuff isn't like as good as it should be. Like Turtle Rock was really bad too. Like it was just bad decisions in some parts. Like I messed up one of the. I think I got hit by the skull. It's like silly stuff like that.
Yeah,
Should be recoverable, but yeah, I guess Ganon's Tower was surprising. I didn't think it would be like it was a 708 with like how bad that was. I was actually surprised. It was that good of a time. I actually saved time on my PB, which is weird.
Wow.
So
yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, that was a pretty solid Ganon's Tower. The Mimics one was really good. Your Mimics 2 went a little awry, but you fixed it pretty quickly. So that was the only real hiccup I saw, because the Gauntlet looked like you got some pretty decent RNG. So
yeah, I think
that's
that
to me
was
the big
good.
defining part of that segment is like if you have a good Gauntlet, then the rest of it is all just execution.
That's where you lose a lot of your time, anyways. The Gauntlet, like that's just there's too much variation in all those rooms with the enemies, patterns, and stuff. But like, even if one of those rooms goes really south, it's bad. Like if they're all like okay RNG, like you still generally save time over most people, I think.
Yeah. So you said you're still just de-rusting. Was this your first run of the group stages?
No, this is my second race. I've been doing like runs kind of, but I've been like doing practice still. But I'm gonna try to do more runs. But this wasn't like, I think my last race was like 127.58. But I had 11 blue balls. So.
Right. So this time is going to increase your standings for the bracket stages considerably. And you still got one more shot at that. Who's your next race going to be up against?
Drunken Draconian. I still got to schedule that though. But that's my last race.
Yeah.
So how does that? Do you know how that works? Actually, so it takes the best race times I get.
Yeah, your best race time out of the 3 races in the group stage is your seed for the bracket stage.
Oh, your best time.
Right. So your best time going into the tournament was how they seeded and created the groups, but the seeding for the bracket stage is entirely dependent on the races within the group stage of the tournament. So any one of those 3, whichever is the best, will be your seed time going in.
Nice. That's interesting.
Yeah, 126.08 is one of the fastest. I think top 3 so far, but I don't know what the actual
numbers are. I know Josh got a 125 flat, and I don't know if there's been a better time. I'm not sure. Like I don't know if WQ's gotten a better time or not. But I know Josh got a 125 flat last race. So that's really good.
I could be wrong in this, but I saw a low 126 from him. I'm not exactly sure what it was. So you and him are pretty close right now, if I recall correctly.
I still got one more race, so I guess we'll find out.
So, have you been focusing on other games recently? I know you just came out with that God's Place, and that was taking up a lot of your time.
No, just this. Like, that's all I have time for, really. It's... It took way longer than I thought it would, but I guess I'm not surprised.
The God's Place?
Yeah, this game has so much depth to it. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I'm sure, it was tricky, the techniques you had to do to make sure it was a continuous run and your material counts, like your bomb and arrow counts and stuff, were consistent.
Yeah, that stuff is so important. Like, I didn't realize, like, if you get arrows, like I made it to where I got 2 10 arrow drops. Or no, I got like all the arrows in Eastern, and then I got the 10 arrow drop in Pod. That like is all the arrows you need for the whole run, basically. You can skip the ones in Swamp.
Right.
So it's like, that stuff is so important. So it's like really important that you like understand your ammo counts at a high level too. You save so much time being able to skip a lot of stuff.
And in terms of the God's Place, I noticed that there were certain points where you got like a bomb drop from an enemy. So were those intentional? Were those planned as you were?
Yes, they were.
Place?
Kind of. The bomb I got lucky in swamp. Like I knew I needed a bomb still, but I couldn't. Like I got so lucky that it was like the next drop, which I knew going in the swamp I was gonna kill that jelly anyway, and it just happened to be the bomb. So that was like the only unplanned drop, but everything else was pretty much planned.
Right.
Like the red ruby and Eastern, like that stuff was planned. That was really hard to farm too. Like you got to farm the arrows and the rupees. So.
Yeah. Oh, that was another thing about your. I'm glad you just mentioned that about your run right now. Is the game did not want to give you rupees in the light world.
Yeah, I lost like 10 coin flips or something. I think.
Yeah, that's what I counted. It was like 10 popo kills where you just didn't get any drops, which is insane to me. But fortunately, with 3 rupees, you don't lose too much time picking up those extra rupees.
Yeah, it doesn't actually matter. Like, if you get completely screwed and you have no rupees, you can always get that desert pot, which gives you 5. And then, like, if you collect all the... Oh, ether, nice. I just saw ether.
Oh, yeah, the solid ether strats coming from crossproduct and the Gauntlet 5.
But, yeah, so, like, if you only get that pot, you still would have 25 rupees after the first tree, and then 105. So you're like always fine in a run. It just only sucks if you have to get the blue rupee in desert, I guess.
Yeah, and like you said, that's right there anyway, so it doesn't really slow you down by any more than half a second, as long as you.
I usually grab it if I have less than like 14, just in case.
Right.
Because then it makes things easier later for the tree. Oh yeah, that too. Thunder Mustache. I hate that pot though. Nobody likes that pot, dude. The suicide pot.
Oh, and the dark maze.
Tower. Yeah, I don't like that pot at all. I can't. Ugh. I like always get a hit going for that one. It's just very risky.
Yeah, 'cause that guard on the bottom left of the room there, and then there's no railing, so if you do take damage, you probably
it's a good backup. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, like, I try to avoid that pot at all costs.
Yeah. I totally agree with you.
I guess I wonder if it would be better if you just go through the right and just grab that pot from the right. That would be really safe. If you take the right side and then just grab it, it would be slower, but oh no. This doesn't look good.
Alright, he should be able to collect. Yeah, he's collected enough magic here, and yeah, he should be able to just dash out.
Oh, he's got a blue potion. He's chilling. I thought that's super comfy.
He picked up that blue potion on the way to Ice Palace, and I haven't seen him use it yet. So I don't know if he's saving it for something specific, like if he wants it for Ganon, or I'm assuming he's saving it for Ganon, as he hasn't used it in any other point when he's gotten low on health or anything. So yeah, you're welcome to stick around and
I'll chill until
talk about Cross Products Run. Probably, hopefully, get him in here when he's finished up. And we see Cross Product finishing up Moldorm there with the dash, and Hook's a little bit early, but making his way downtown, and very important rupee chest there.
Oh man, we got the validation chest.
Alright, he's making his way into Agahnim with just a heart and a half, and he decides to use his his blue potion here, and that looked reflexive, so I assume that that was where he was planning on using it the whole time. Nice, gets 2 hits off in that first cycle. Oh, he gets pretty decent RNG there. Oh, but then he gets bad RNG with the blue ball. That's unfortunate. Only gets 1 hit off in that second cycle. And
Oh,
2 in the
dang.
third.
Oh, he just used the blue potion.
Yeah.
Oh, you're probably way ahead of me. What the hell? I just realized that.
Alright, so that was a solid 4 cycle coming out from cross product there. Decent RNG, not the greatest. And he's fallen into Ganon now. And he's only got the Tempered Sword. So it's going to be 12 attacks in the first 2 phases to make sure he continues on. You saw him wait there. He kind of stood next to Ganon for a little while before releasing that spin, and that's because he knew he had gotten into the second phase of the fight. And any damage you do before Ganon starts spinning his trident actually doesn't count towards the next phase, so that's the reason he just stood there for a quick second.
Dude, I'm digging this DLC shield that I have never seen before.
This pay-to-win shield over here.
The shield is dope. It's so weird. I haven't seen it in like forever.
He's used it in a couple places too, where he like knew something was coming at him, so he just stood and tanked it with the shield.
That's an awesome shield. It's a shame you don't actually get it in like any speed run.
Yeah. Alright, so cross product uses the lantern to get torch glitch. And if he's using lantern the whole time, it's a little bit more difficult to get 3 spins off per cycle. It really all depends on Ganon's positioning at that point if you're not using the fire rod. So he'll probably get about 2 and finish this up in about 6 or 7 lights of the torch. Ooh, unfortunate. I think that was the last hit. Oh, he takes out the fire rod now. Uses it because he knows he's almost done. Oh, nope. He's got at least...
He's pretty good at this fight.
Yeah, he's having a pretty solid fight. Especially considering he was using the lantern early on. Once he switched to the fire rod, it sped up a little bit. And there we go. There's the last hit. He's going to have a sub 148. GG to cross product. He is going to have an official speed racing time of 1:47.51. We'll see if he is going to join us here for a comment. So you don't have your next race scheduled yet, but you do have a pretty good seat time coming off of this race. So, you know, who are the big players that you're looking out for as you enter the bracket stage?
WQ, Josh. Like, Josh has actually been playing really well. And getting some really good times. Eddie, of course. Like, he's such a big difference from last year. It's crazy.
Yeah, he actually got a very recent PB, and he's got a low 124 now, right?
Yeah.
So that's huge, and he's definitely going to be a high seed in the tournament. And now we have cross product here. Thanks for joining us, cross product. How's it going?
First hour and a half was alright.
Yeah, pretty solid run going on for the most part. And then the eyeballs were giving you the fits at the Vitreous fight, unfortunately.
Yeah, it wasn't even the eyeballs. It was the Stalfos and the Spike and the Crumbs all hit me on the way to Vitreous.
Yeah.
Like, it all added up. It was ridiculous. If I knew the eyeball did 4 damage, I probably would use my potion, but I thought I was safe for 1 hit.
So that's actually something I wanted to ask you, because it looked like you were holding on to that potion. So, do you usually use that in a specific spot in the run, or did you just underestimate the eyeballs?
Well, I did underestimate the eyeballs, but in my PB I used it on Ganon, and I'm confident in my Trinex fight. That was just a fluke. I honestly was looking at the chat to kind of explain what I was doing after the death on the laser bridge, and I was just like, as I was looking at, I didn't think that he had another neck attack in him after I killed the firehead, so I wasn't even looking at my screen. And I looked over, I was like, oh, I'm dead.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
But yeah, I know that
weird there.
The wording on the official rules of no major glitches, no save and quit is that you cannot take a death if it benefits you in any way. And my interpretation of that is that if I take an intentional death to refill health, that invalidates my run. So I took a couple hits from that Helm of Sword just to be safe. The death was unintentional on the laser bridge, but I didn't want to get called out on it. So
right. Yeah, and you utilized that strat of opening that bomb wall too, just in case.
yeah.
So that
paid off right away.
Yeah. So another thing I wanted to ask you is because I noticed that you got the bottle and you got the blue potion, but you didn't get any other safeties. You didn't get powder. You didn't get gold sword, silver arrows. So is there a reason you just stick to that one blue potion?
It feels like it's on the way. It's probably doesn't take any longer than grabbing powder. So I might rethink that, but it feels like I'm right there. I walk past the witch's hut, even though it costs 2 mirrors and walking in there. I don't know. I haven't crunched the numbers, but it seems like it's... I don't know, you have to pick up the bottle to... I don't know. I guess I just didn't put that much thought into it. I just felt like it was if I want to grab one safety, it's the fastest one to get.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I was just curious about what your reasoning was. You know, just you definitely do what's comfortable for you, what makes the most sense to you. So I guess my other question for you is, I know that you've contributed a little bit to the Rando community, and there's a popular tracker you've created. So is Rando what got you into speedrunning this game?
Yeah, actually, I started out speedrunning on Super Metroid, and some of my friends from the Super Metroid community, Wild Anaconda, Leodox, but he quit, Alucard 2004, VTorp, we all used to do Link to the Past randos together back in version 5, version 6, you know? So that's what kind of got me into Link to the Past as more of a tactical game than just playing casually. And Jet 082 was actually the one that was like, hey, you should try doing an NMG run. So, you know, I decided to try my hand at it, and I'm about as good at it as I am at Super Metroid, which isn't saying much. But...
Hey,
that's good that it got you into the game, though.
Yeah, and
it always helps in the rando world, I'm sure.
Yeah,
execution helps all around, and honestly, the 140s is not a bad place to be, especially if you just recently started and you're focused more on rando anyway. So that's, you know, nothing to be ashamed of.
Looking at my splits right now, I was a minute ahead of my splits at after killing Argus. I did take a little to grab a red shield just to visit my waifu behind the waterfall, but just because this was a known loss, I was like, I may as well do something fun. But I mean, but without the death, I probably would have gotten like a 142, 143. Actually, I
Yeah.
think I died to Ganon. Even with the potion, I think I died to Ganon in my PB, so it might have been like about a 140.
Right, and 143.25 is your PB, right? That's what I see on the leaderboard.
Yeah, the leaderboard's up to date. I updated it for the tournament.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so except for those little excursions you went on, you had a pretty solid run. Up to Mire, and then just some unfortunate RNG and stuff going on there. So, solid stuff. Definitely look forward to more races from you. Is that your first race, second race of the groups? What do you
This
have
is
left?
this is my first of the groups.
So you are going to be taking on Drunken Draconian, and who's the fourth in your group?
I should be able to grab that right now.
Ninnies.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's some good competition there. So that'll be fun to, based on how the group stages go, sometimes you just run into someone like BluntBunny who's been grinding the game out for almost 4 years now, and it's just the luck of the draw.
Hey. Well, there's a reason I wanted to schedule my race against BluntBunny first. It's because I didn't have time to practice this week, so I figured I'd go up against a guy who's got 20 minutes on my PB.
Right. A little strategic,
No, that's smart. That's really smart.
Yeah, no, definitely see the benefit there, and then you'll go into your races with Drunken and Ninnies with a little more confidence and not as rusty. So
Definitely have a chance against the other two, I would say. If you have a good run.
Yeah, I mean, anything can happen. I'm probably going to mention this race several times throughout the tournament, but we had Josh racing against M-Chan, and a cold stare death caused M-Chan to be well in the lead for most of the rest of the run, and then he had an unfortunate mishap at Trinex where he ran out of magic and then put it back. But anything can happen. Josh is, one of the top runners in the game, and he almost lost his match to M-Chan, who his PB is about a 130 right now. So
yeah, cold stare is one of the worst too. You can't even take any checkpoints. At least dying to Vitreous, I can skip half of the dungeon on my second way through, But with cold stare, you have to do the entire dungeon over again.
That's definitely the most punishing death in the entire game, I'd say. Except if you die like at the end of Ganon's tower, which, man, I hope that should like never happen normally.
I didn't think that would happen, but I figured, what's the difference between using a potion on Aga 2 versus using the potion on Ganon? So I missed one. Yeah.
No, yeah. But Ganon's tower is just a bit. There's like fairies and stuff, so it's like not that bad, but.
Well, there's fairies in Ice Palace if you want to take like 5 door transitions to grab them.
Yeah, I've grabbed those fairies before. I have no shame. Sometimes you just aren't feeling confident.
They're worth picking up in low percent, I'll say that much.
God,
yeah, Josh actually picked up those fairies against M-Chan too, just to make sure he didn't have any crazy mishaps, because he knew that M-Chan wasn't too far behind. But yeah, that's gonna wrap us up right now. Do you guys have any comments before I start plugging the next races coming up?
Just want to congratulate BluntBunny and just say, Link to the Past is fun. I'm realistically probably won't make it out of group stages, but I'll have a fun 2 or 3 matches in the meantime, so glad to be here.
Thanks for the race. I appreciate it.
All right, so thank you guys for the race. Really good stuff all around. Really enjoyed being able to commentate for you guys.
Yeah,
it looks like
for the commentary.
Yeah, thanks, dude.
Yeah, anytime. And it looks like we don't have anything coming up on Speed Gaming 3 right now, but there's plenty of other races going on currently on the other Speed Gaming channels. We have Chaucer and Eudaimonistic on Speed Gaming 2, and there's actually a double race going on with it's those two and Elminster versus Resifos at the same time. So I believe that's on Speed Gaming right now. It's Speed Gaming or Speed Gaming 2. I'm not sure, so just make your way over there.
Make sure you check out those races. Otherwise, we have some races scheduled for tomorrow, but not sure what channels they'll be on, so just keep a lookout on the schedule. The big double race we got going tomorrow is at 4 p.m. It's going to be on Speed Gaming, and it's going to be Willard J. Bradley and Simple, and then Christos Owen versus Dark Magician. So that should be a fun race to watch as well. Another double race there. So, guys, again, thanks for a good race. Blunt, really great execution. Cross product, good luck going forward against the rest of your group, and I look forward to seeing more from you guys in the group stage.
Thanks, dude.
All right, and with that, we're signing off. So go check out some more Link to the Past, guys. There's plenty going on. Have a good night.
Bye.